Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome cosmetologist, entrepreneur, and U.S. Navy veteran, Sharay Santora.
Hello, my name is Sharay Santora, and I'm a mommy. I'm a hairstylist, an educator, a veteran, and an activist. Now, a little bit about me. I was born and raised in a little small town called Domino, Texas. I know you've never heard of it. It's okay. Population is like 73. My first love was watching my great grandmother pin curl her hair. It was amazing to me. By the time I was 9, my grandmother had taught me how to braid, and my clientele list was Barbie, Grandma, and anyone who would let me near them with a curling iron. It was great. Now, my family is very military. My aunts and my uncles have served from Vietnam to Desert Storm. My dad was in the Army. My stepdad was an airborne drill sergeant. So, needless to say, I always knew that I'd never go in. It just wasn't going to happen. And then at 19, life happened. I became a mother. And I decided that the best thing for my family was going to be the Navy. Took this little test called the ASVAB, scored pretty high. They asked me, hey, do you want to be a cryptologist? Had no idea what it was, but it sounded pretty cool. So I said, sure, why not? Let's do it. I get to boot camp. I was a leader in boot camp. I graduated at the top of my class. Not bad for a hairstylist. And I went from E1 to E4 in about a year. I worked really hard. I was very focused on what I was doing. I understood that this was how I was going to take care of my family. And I was really good at it, but my heart wasn't in it. It was something that I thought I would never do because I was going to be a hairstylist forever. It was going to pay the bills. I was going to be on TV doing all the stars, and my life was going to be amazing as a hairstylist. So one day I was in Portsmouth Naval Hospital and my phone began to ring. As I was answering the phone, my chief on board the USS Nimitz was telling me all hands on deck. And I looked up and I saw on a screen in front of me the second tower, the second plane hitting the towers. It was 9/11. And in that moment, everything about me shifted. I decided in that moment, because of the impact of what I was seeing and what I had heard on the phone, that my personal commitment to the Navy, my investment in my country, was changing. There was no way around it. I was going to give myself to the moment, be all in, or I was going to go home. And I went all in. I didn't know where I was going and when we would get there and what was going to be, what I would see. I didn't know, but I had decided that I was going to be there for the ride. Now, everything happened in the Navy. I finally got out. I came home, came back to Texas, and began living life. Now, I've been a person who, growing up in the South, let's just be honest, I'm a black woman. I grew up in the South. I have dealt with many racists and many bigots in civilian life and in my active duty military life. I came home, you dealt with the same things. But like a lot of people, I decided that I didn't really want to talk about it. I didn't want to deal with it. I had learned how to accept it and how to keep moving. So that's what I did. I ignored it like so many people around me. And then in March of 2012, a young man named Trayvon Martin lost his life. And all I could see on the TV screen was my son. Every time they flashed that picture, every time they said his name, all I saw was my son. In that moment, I had another shift. There was another impact on my life that I realized that something had to change. I got my children, we sat down, we had a nice family talk about how bad life can be, but how we're not going to let it hold us down, and we're not going to let it hold us back. So as a family, we started volunteering in our neighborhood. We start volunteering, packing bags, and doing different things to help our community. We start lending our presence and our energy to local movements. We did sit-ins, we did stand-ins, we did marches. We were just there. I told them, even if you are not a leader or an active member, it doesn't mean that you can't be a part of different things. It doesn't mean that you can't lend your energy. It doesn't mean that you can't support it. So that's what we did. We supported. And one day of support, we were running a little bit behind as usual, and we turned the corner and came to an immediate halt. Not just because the roads were blocked off, but because the sidewalks were lined with people. We had gone on July the 7th, 2016, to downtown Dallas to participate in a peaceful protest. And what we saw when we got there was amazing. There were people laughing, hugging, they were dancing in the street. The duck lip selfies, they're like really, really popular. Everybody was taking them. And it was so amazing. And even more amazing was the feeling of love and unity that was in the air. So we parked our car, we got out, we joined the movement, and everything was going beautiful. People were speaking, people were chanting, like we do at protests, no justice, no peace, the regular stuff. And on our way to return where we had began, shots rang out. And something inside of me, it moved. My children were here. It wasn't just me. My children were with me. And I knew that we had to be safe. But I also knew that we were surrounded by so many people and they had to be safe. So I just kind of clicked into mommy/Navy mode. I became calm. I became collected. And I did my best to help direct the crowds to get people out of the way and to make us as safe as possible. Now, you may have seen things on the news. Google will tell you lots of different stories. But my children and I were there. We know how we felt. We know the energy that was present. We even know the aftermath of everything that happened. We got home, we had another family discussion, and we decided that we were not going to allow such a great thing and a great movement to end in such tragedy. So we kept moving forward. Over the next few days, we decided that as a family we would go to the memorials. There was one downtown. We went late at night after all the crowds and the cameras were gone. We said our prayers. We talked to the police officers. And we were just so thankful for those who had come, who were supporting us in our movement, and those who had lost their lives. And we kept moving forward. So today, we still move forward. I'm still not officially a part of any one movement. My name is not on a list, but I support Black Lives Matter. I support the New Generation Action Network, Mothers Against Drunk Driving. I support our local police officers, firemen, our local schools. I support a lot of different things because I realize just because I support this movement doesn't mean I can't support that movement. And we work toward building bridges to help each other. And that's what life is about. When you have an impact on the things around you, things start to move and they start to change. But you have to start somewhere. You have to be invested. So that's what I do. I balance my time between football games, watching my daughter cheer, my son play football, and activist meetings. I go to the Dallas VA for my appointments, and I style hair. So I'm Sharay Santora. I'm a mommy, a hairstylist, an educator, a Navy veteran, and an activist. Thank you.